the clash we've been building up to you. This is red against pink. Yes, it's the Royals against the Royal Challengers. Is that a representation of where it stands right now? The Royals in a slightly better position. The other Royals, looking to challenge for a spot to get there. If the Rajasthan team win, they go to the top. If Bangalore win, they get very close to the top. That's how close this one is. We're joined on Cricbuzz Live by our regulars, and I'm saying regulars because we were together 24 hours ago, so it's like we've still been here, just waiting. Simon Doull, Harsha Bhogle, except that Harsha's stolen my shirt.
Yeah. No, I just thought we had a slightly different color, but you can understand why the Royals are ahead because the others are only challengers still, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Okay, now that I've got a bad one out quickly, we can get back to talking more sense, maybe.
But it is the sort of representation of the season. They have been playing catch up for a while, even though they're not too far from the top. Somehow you've seen with a few problems they've had, and now with a key change we're talking about, it might just change their fortunes. Dooley.
Yeah, look, it's they just have these blips to Bangalore, and they've had them many times throughout many seasons of this wonderful tournament, and it's how they recover from them. We'll talk about that throughout the show, but that's been the biggest issue for them, and how they recover this time after a pretty ordinary performance. It's not one of those ones you can just dwell on, though. I think that, when you look at what's happened to them, and we go back to 14, 17, 19, 22, and look at those numbers, look at the 70 all out, 49 all out, 70, 68. Now, only the Delhi side have been worse at scores under 100 than Bangalore. I think it's 9-8. 9 times Delhi have been bowled out for less than 100, and 8 times Bangalore have been bowled out for less than 100. But it's the recoveries afterwards. Loss, one win, and then loss. No result, loss. So they just don't. They don't come back. Maybe this change. Are we allowed to reveal it? Is it like?
Oh, you can.
One of these?
No, go for it.
So it's not a war secret?
No,
it's
not
okay.
yet. Yes.
Am I allowed to do it, or would you like to do it?
Go for it, Simon.
Kohli's going to open, everybody. Virat Kohli is going to open the batting. Will that change their fortunes? Will it turn them around? Who knows? Time will tell.
Before we assess that further,
He's sounding like he's about to do the. He's sounding like he's doing the voiceover for the trailers. Virat Kohli is going to open. Will it?
Well, it's probably that kind of movie they'll need. VK, the comeback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope he does. Yeah. I hope he does. You don't want to see great players struggle. You want to see great players do well. They are box office when they play well. Generally, life is good because they bring a rare skill. So I think there's a lot of people who want Virat Kohli to do well.
Yeah, certainly would be. But now that we've pushed him up the top, and the reason, of course, is we'll tell you in a minute, Anuj Rawat has given way to Rajat Patidar. They didn't have any problems. Anuj Rawat was playing as an opener plus an outfielder. They do have DK as a keeper. So Patidar comes in as a batsman. Kohli pushes up to the top, and that should change fortunes. What about his numbers as an opener? We've seen what's happened, a few struggles in the power play. But when he looks at this, he'll say, I haven't done the worst job in the world. Look at the Basra, Simon. You love looking at that. 179.
Yeah. And those 500s, they're the only 500s he's got in his IPL career. So his only 500s have come at the top of the order. 18 50s. Now, you think about 76 innings. I think he's got 42 half centuries in total. And he's had 200 innings. So if you look at those numbers purely from that point of view, 500s and 1850s in 76 innings, when he's had almost 200 innings, I think, in his entire IPL career, opening the batting is just so much better. So much better for him, so much better for the team. That's no guarantee that it's going to work tonight because he's not looking in great touch. But what I will say is it is his best position and it is the team's best position. So I think they have now got that right. Let's hope that we see a change in fortune and a turnaround because, as I said last night about MS, it's no fun. It's no fun for any of us who love the game of cricket, watching these great players, and he is a truly great player, watching them struggle. It's not fun at all. So, maybe this is the start of a turnaround.
And he's done well, Harsha, in those colours with a South African at the other end. A different South African today. But Kohli opening with Faf du Plessis just might maybe something about the Afrikaans accent 22 yards away.
Look, any number you pull out for Virat Kohli as of start of last year, any number will look good. So it's not really a question of which numbers are looking good where, because when Kohli was in prime form, you sent him anywhere and he scored runs. He just had to go set up the plant, connect all the electricity, power, and start manufacturing. But it's that he's playing, he's so short of confidence, so short of runs, that I don't know if you can actually relate to those numbers. Yes, he's enjoyed opening the batting. It makes sense. Because when he's playing well, he just has to hit the gap and he gets the boundaries, he gets the runs, doesn't have to lose shape, doesn't have to slog around. So it's just a question of whether he can get that start. And trying to see the challenge there would be, there's a couple of good swing bowlers. There's Prasidh Krishna, but there's also Bolt. And Bolt angling it across. He's had trouble with the balls angling across that off stump. So that Bolt versus Kohli will be a very, very interesting battle up front.
Well, let me throw one more on the Kohli issue. Every time somebody's performed well, we've started possibly handing out boarding passes to Australia, or potential boarding passes. Now, not that we are suggesting taking one away from him. All we are saying is that a problem for a franchise here would also be a problem for a national side. So if RCB are frowning at Kohli or worried and wanting him to come back to form, so are India, Dooley.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they'll be very worried about more than Virat Kohli at the moment. I mean, they'll be worried about Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Shreyas Iyer, who I think, if you were looking at a T20 Indian side probably 2-3 months ago, those guys would have been not even penciled in; they would have been penned into the side. So I would have thought, from a national point of view, they'd be worried about all three of those players. The one thing I will say though is this tournament hasn't always meant that you will have success at the international level. And we go back to that, to the Ambati Rayudu Vijay Shankar debate in 19. There's been plenty of occasions when guys have been picked after having a good IPL and haven't really performed, and vice versa. So it doesn't guarantee success, but you would like those guys, come time when India play the warm-up matches or their series against South Africa, you'd like those guys to be back in form, and that would be the concern. It's the fact they're not scoring runs at the moment. The tournament's still in October, so I don't know that will be a huge concern from an Indian point of view. It is a long, long way away yet.
I was just going to point that out. That's in October. You've actually got a test match to play before that, but you've got so much white ball cricket.
Yeah.
You've got, first of all, you've got 5 games in India against South Africa. Then you've got white ball games in England. Then you go to the West Indies. Then you come back. You play the Asia Cup. You've got the other warm-up games. So you've got enough time for them not just to come back into form, but to show sustained form. I'm not worried just yet.
Yeah. The worry, Harsha, for me, of that lot there, the worry that I talk about now would be the concern. My major concern would be Shreyas Iyer's inability to cope with the short, quick bowling. That would be my major concern. Of all those 3 players, and people might say, well, Shreyas has scored some runs at times. Yes, he has, but he is genuinely looking worried. And I don't want to say afraid because it's the wrong word, but he's genuinely looking really worried and troubled by the short ball. Now, he's going to get plenty of that in Australia on some of those quicker, bouncier surfaces. That would be my major concern at the moment, rather than the form of Kohli or the form of Rohit.
Yeah, I think probably it's fans who are getting a little worried, thinking ahead to that. So maybe from a fan's perspective, but as our panel has reminded all of you, there's lots of cricket still to be played. So if there's a technical issue, like Dooley pointed about, perhaps with Shreyas Iyer, he's got time to rectify it. If it's a form issue, we keep saying it's 1 innings away. Once he gets on a roll, watch out opposition. So that's all we're looking for, when, not if. Opposition today for Kohli and company, they're going to be a team who are in pink hot form with bat, with ball. It's all about Butler, but it's also been about a few others. They've made a couple of changes. One of the changes is one of the success stories we talked about, Obaid McCoy. They're just trying to change the balance of the side. Obaid McCoy goes out. Daryl Mitchell comes in, which to me is an interesting one because he goes and slots in as an all-rounder at the top. And Kuldeep Sen is back. Dooley, I'll come to you first on Daryl Mitchell coming in. What does that do to the balance of the side?
Well, it gives them another bowling option in their top 5, top 6. So I think that's one of the things they were looking for. They're looking for a bowling option. And Daryl Mitchell certainly does that. He's more than capable of bowling a couple of overs. So it just gives them a genuine sixth bowling option. It doesn't strengthen their batting at all, because I think, you look at Karan Nair, Daryl Mitchell, I don't know. I think Karan Nair probably would play the conditions slightly better. Mitchell's a powerful player. He's made his way into the New Zealand side as an opening batter when he got given an opportunity back in Australia in some warm-up matches prior to that last T20 World Cup. So he hasn't always been an opener by any stretch in T20 cricket. He's been a middle order player who has bowled some overs. So that's an interesting one. But I'm just hoping everything's okay with Obed McCoy. We talked about those shin issues that he's had. Let's hope everything's okay there. But nice to see Kuldeep Sen back as well with some genuine pace.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, Gautam. They had the option of going with two Kiwis. They could have gone either Jimmy Neesham or they could have gone Daryl Mitchell. Now, Neesham is a proper finisher at number 6. Daryl Mitchell, we saw him in fantastic form at the T20 World Cup. He was doing that from the top of the order. Peculiarly, in New Zealand and in domestic cricket, they've used it just to bowl at the death sometimes, don't they? Mm-hmm. Just a couple of overs at the death. So I just wonder what the thinking would have been between maybe a more bona fide finisher in Neesham, because both Neesham and Karun Nair over the last couple of days or years, they get one game here, one game there, end of season. So that's the interesting one. But the moment they did that, my first thought was, oops, they're going with a bowler shot. But then they've made the reverse change because of Obed McCoy going out. They've got Kuldeep Sen back in. So they're still going in with 5 proper bowlers. I actually think, Dooley, I think this might strengthen the batting a little bit, because I think Mitchell is more a power player than Karun Nair is. So if they do get that start, then they've got Samson, maybe Hetmeyer at 4, maybe Mitchell at 4, Hetmeyer. So they've got a lot of power down the middle.
Yeah.
And it depends on what they do. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Well,
I'm with you on the Neesham thing. It's a hard one for Neesham. When you look at his international numbers, and he averages 21 and change, I think, in international T20 cricket, but his strike rate is 150. So he scores them at a great rate at international level. But yet in IPL cricket, he's only had 9 games, and he averages under 10, and his strike rate is under 100. So he's never really taken off. I think he's had 1 innings of slight significance, but he's never had a sustained run. And his batting in the IPL has never been able to take off because of those very circumstances that you point out. He gets 1 game and then is left out, 1 game and then is left out. So his numbers are pretty awful when it comes to the IPL as a whole. So maybe that's what they're looking at as well. But I think Mitchell, he offers a bit with the bat. He can, look, if he gets an opportunity to play the spin, he will run at it. I guarantee he'll run down the track at the spinners and try and hit them out of the park. He is a big, powerful lad. And as I say, I think he just offers that little bit of extra. It just gives them that cover that they probably haven't had with the ball.
All right, I'll put you on the spot, Dooley. We know that Rajasthan, I'm not sure if we confirm the fact or not, Faf du Plessis won the toss. Rajasthan will bat first. Now, in the light of that, you have an opportunity to give Daryl Mitchell a batting position. Where are you batting him?
Oh, wow. I'm going to say, if he's not going to bat at the top, which he can't in that side, I would probably rather him bat at 5 or 6. Yeah, I'd say 5 or 6 at that rate, because he can play the big shots off the quicks, or he can play the spinners quite well. So, I mean, I can imagine him and Shimron Hetmeyer going at the death. If they get the last 3 or 4 overs, it could be quite exciting.
Yeah, my gut feel is if it's one of those days where you're 20 for 2 and you can get those days, if it's 20 for 2, he'll probably bat 4. If it's 120 for 2, he'll probably bat 5 and Hetmeyer will bat 4.
Yeah, I think that's what we might just end up seeing. But yeah, the big talk has been about Jos Butler. We just cheekily pointed out when we were checking where this match was, and we said, well, the match is at the one venue that Butler hasn't got 100 this time. Completely out of form. So he actually failed. They got only 210 on that occasion in Rajasthan. Everybody else contributed. Butler got 38 in a few balls, but he didn't get 100. Will he set that right or not? One thing's for sure, Harsha, he's on his way to that big season that we still talk about, and that is the season of Virat Kohli. We're just doing a comparison after Game 7. This makes interesting reading.
And he's ahead, isn't he? He's significantly ahead, 491 to 433. Now, Virat got 400s, I think, in that season. And you look down there, he's got 1. So Virat's 300s were still to come. whereas Butler's already scored 3. But I think the difference is Virat got those runs traveling around India, playing on different pitches. Whereas with Butler, the advantage is he now knows exactly what to expect on each of the pitches. So that's why I think he's actually better placed if he can continue this form. He's not suddenly going and playing on a slow track in Chennai, not suddenly going to Kolkata and seeing a different kind of surface there. So he knows exactly what to expect. From that point of view, I'm backing him to go there. I mean, that season, 2016, was a weird one. Because of Kohli's 973, we forget Warner scored 850 runs in that season. It was a season for scoring runs. But in that kind of, for most people, over 14 games will fail 3 or 4 times, even if they have had a good season. So if he fails 3 or 4 times, he's still looking definitely for an 800 plus season. But if he doesn't fail, this could be 1,000. I mean, there's no point. We're talking about it. It'd be a great season if he. I honestly thought 1,000 won't happen, which is a very good reason why it could.
Yeah, well, that's something we're talking about. But the way he started, Dooley, I mean, the fact that he's got 300s, he's playing at a venue where he hasn't got 100 yet today. It's an interesting little matchup if you talk about what's happening here with 3 venues. In a sense, you're settling down, as Harsha pointed out. But the difference in the past is you had 1 home venue and X number of away venues. So it was, yes, settle down, but you had many times when you needed to adapt.
Yeah, you did. And I mean, I'd be interested to know Kohli's breakdown of runs at Chinnaswamy in that 973 compared to runs away from home as well. Because, you have the advantage of always playing on a slightly smaller ground and a great surface, a batting friendly surface. So, you can, I think we can always pick some holes in any stat if we want to, but as Harsha said, I think it was just an unbelievable season. It was just a brilliant season of batting and all over the country. So I look at it and I think, he got 300s in the back half. I don't know that Jos Buttler's going to break it. He's had a brilliant start. Can he keep going? It's just at some stage there's got to be a blip somewhere on the line. I mean, he's still a long, long way away. He's 500 runs away. He should, if Rajasthan win 3 more games of their last 7, you would say that they should make the playoffs. So he'll get at least 1 extra game to try and do it. Bangalore made the final, didn't they, that year? So Virat played 16 games, I think, 16. For that 973. So, if Butler plays 16, then he's a chance, isn't it? It's another 9 innings if he gets that opportunity.
And just to confirm, 3 of the 100s, Harsha, for Virat Kohli came at the Chinnaswamy.
There you go. There you go. I'll say one thing about today's game, though. I was watching Deep Dasgupta doing the pitch report, and he said it's very rough. There's grass, but it's a very rough, very abrasive kind of surface. He thinks that the spinners might come into play because the surface seems a little abrasive. Now you go back to Butler's previous 100 in the last game. He was 18 of 18 balls, I think, at one point. So Butler's giving himself time. Butler's not just going boom, boom, boom. He's giving himself time. It's a sign of a very confident player that I know I can make up for these deliveries afterwards. And even if it's spin, it'll be interesting to see, say, a Hasaranga versus a Butler. I know Hasaranga's got the wood over Samson, but Hasaranga versus Butler might be interesting.
Yep. So I'm just going to finish off the entire discussion of Butler versus Kohli with the one number that we were waiting for. 4 of the 100s we did mention, 3 at the Chinnaswamy. 597 runs in 9 innings in Bangalore. 376 and 7 innings other venues put together.
It's not bad though. I mean, he's obviously played 2 extra games at Bangalore because they were going so well. But it's still not bad. 7 games, 376 at other venues.
That's 50 runs.
Over 50 per innings at other venues. It's still, I think we'd all take that. Let's be honest. I think we'd all have that.
Alrighty then. So what's the verdict here? Let's do a joint effort here. Butler gets past Kohli, yes or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down. I think I'm going for an up. Oh, down. Oh, side, that's it. All right. Up, down, and fence. Fair enough. that just shows it's going to be a tough effort. Probably shows we love Virat Kohli. We want him to keep a few records. Also shows that maybe Kohli's got this pasted on the wall of the dressing room just to remind himself and try and fix things today. Yep, the big news that we mentioned at the top, we'll mention it one more time. Virat Kohli opening the batting with Faf du Plessis today. Anuj Rawat is out. Rajat Patidar comes in, and Dinesh Karthik keeps keeping. There's no change over there. Yes, Hasaranga, whether or not he's got the wood over Samson or not, and we've seen that in the past. The moment he came on the last time around, we were like, this is the number of dismissals, boom, gone, one more. But since then, Harsharanga, I don't know where that came from. Since then, Hasaranga, not Harsharanga, has started losing a bit of steam. And we mentioned that in the preview.
I'm more worried, yeah. I normally the wickets and the economy rates tend to go together. Not always, but they tend to sort of follow each other. But look at the economy rate, and that's what's going to worry him, that he's going at 10.2 and over. And yeah, three wickets from 10 overs is not that bad. Overall, he's still got 11 wickets from 8 games, which most times you take 1.5 wickets a game. You do take. It's the economy rate that will worry him.
But how do you assess this? Because typically we've seen for pace versus spin, by logic, the wickets get a little tired, a little more spin towards the second half. So spinners should come into their own. His progression is downwards. Should we really?
Not quite at the second half yet, though, are we, Harsh? I mean, we're only just over the hump. So maybe we're talking the next 4, 5, 6 games. You would hope that he gets it back a little bit more and he comes into play a little bit more.
But also, if you look at Hasaranga, he's not a Chahal kind of spinner. Chahal kind of spinner is sort of, classical, is letting it rip. He's got the big leg break. Hasaranga doesn't have the big leg break. Hasaranga is more a slider bowler, bowls a very good googly, bowls a lot of straight balls, actually. And he's got good pace off the deck, but he's not one of those, one of those classical leg spinners. So maybe they've started playing him differently. So it'll be interesting to see where they're scoring off him. Are they starting to score more of him on the onside? On the understanding, look, it's not much against the turn. He's not turning the ball. Maybe we're starting to play him on the onside. So we'll check that out as the season goes along, whether people have realized now that he's not a big turner.
Well, they're obviously doing something right, because it's meant, Dooley, is that as someone who's an asset to the team, paid a few big bucks for, not bowling his full quota. Just bowl 4 overs once.
Yeah, that's a massive thing. I mean, they would have been 4 banker overs, you would think, in probably 10, 11, 12 of the 14 games. They would have been banker overs. You would have thought so from a Bangalore point of view. And the fact that he's not doing that means they're having to go elsewhere. Someone else is having to pick up that load as well. So his numbers with left-handers v right-handers are quite a stark difference as well. But look, again, it's coming back to this. He's still relatively new at this sort of IPL level. He's still, I won't say he's finding his way. We haven't seen him. I'd love to see him get an innings with the bat as well, just to show us what he can do with the bat, because we've seen that at the international level, but haven't quite seen it at this level yet either. And it's a tough league. This is the best T20 league in the world, and it, hands down, you're coming up against players who play spin really, really well, game in, game out, and you will get tested. It's how you bounce back from that. It's how you find a way to cope with it. And he's got some quality players, some quality batters in his team to talk about these situations that he's going through. So I just hope that that's what's happening.
Yeah, and just to clarify that number, I put out games. I threw it out without clarifying the number. Last 4 games, we talked about the change. First 4 games, 16 overs, he was fine. The next 4 is when he has bowled his full quota just once. And we even almost suggested he's a candidate for replacement already, Harsha.
But Dooley made the point that he was meant to be a 4 overs bank. So if you look at that side in terms of bowling, Hazelwood is 4 overs. Siraj most days is 4, though he can have days when he's expensive. Harshal Patel is 4 overs. Hasaranga was meant to be 4 overs, with Shahbaz and Maxwell adding up and bowling those remaining 5th overs roles. So if Hasaranga is not bowling 4, it means you're going more towards Maxwell and Shahbaz. And I think you'll find in one of those games, Maxwell's bowled 2-3 overs over there. So if you keep having to go to Maxwell, then you're in trouble. Maxwell gives you 2 overs. That's perfect, especially when he's going round the wicket, pinging it in. He's good for 2 overs. But Hasaranga 4 he was meant to be a 4 overs bank. And in fact, I had him batting at 6 or 7 in my side. I had him batting at 7 when we first, at the start of the season, made our 11s. I think he's that good player. He's having to, I don't think he's played 10 balls. I don't know if he's played 10 balls so far in the tournament. Which is also the point I wanted to ask Doull about Neesham, actually. In those 9 games, I think you'll find Neesham's probably played 15, 20 balls.
Yeah,
It's
81
81
balls in total, I think, in those 9 games. So he's faced an average of 9 balls per innings. Exactly.
Okay, that's more than I thought, actually.
Yeah. Our app is telling me that exact number, actually. 9 innings, 78 runs, 81 balls. Highest of 22.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just, but he had, again, it's like Hasaranga is getting a regular run. So he's got to start learning and showing the goods and performing. When you're not getting that regular run, it's really difficult. We have seen that with many a player over the years, haven't we? If you're not getting a consistent go, you do find it very tough. But I also agree at times when, if it's not working, we've got to change it quickly, because there's no point in getting to the end of the season and you haven't done you haven't made the changes you needed to change.
Yeah, he is a 4-over banker, also an all-rounder. He's done it for several other teams, definitely for Sri Lanka, other franchises around the world. He's faced a maximum of 19 deliveries in one particular innings and 4 or less in every other inning so far. So whether or not he gets an opportunity today, they're chasing. Probably will hope he doesn't even have to come into bat. If Kohli's done what we think Kohli might just do, opening at the top of the order, but that's all we'll say it. Quick look at the points table again.
One thing about chasing, though. I'll tell you one thing about chasing on this ground, though. It's 1-3, lost 3, batting first, batting second. But the 3 times that teams have won chasing is when the scores been under 170. The moment the score's gone above 170, the chasing sides lost in the previous games. So they want to keep Rajasthan down to under 170. So Hasaranga has to bowl well.
Yeah, and do Rajasthan even know what it means to be under 170? We'll find out very soon. We're going to have our predictions coming up here fairly shortly at the moment. But quick look at the points table, where we stand. We showed it to you at the top of the show. And we'll remind you once again, this is what could potentially happen. Rajasthan win, they get to 12 points. With that net run rate, which will only get higher even if they win by a run, then they get to the top of the table. If Bangalore win, they get to 12 points, but not necessarily the top of the table. So both teams looking to get to 12, one possibly the top, one could be second, maybe third. Another interesting one to throw in there for all of you. Faf du Plessis is going to have to find some interesting matchups. Shahbaz Ahmed opening the bowling for Bangalore against the might of Butler and Padikkal. Does that change your thoughts in terms of numbers? Just give it a thought while we give you our joy factor question for today. And here is the question for all of you. This is going to be fastest finger first, and you'll see why when I see it. Bob Willis achieved this unique feat against Sri Lanka in 1983. Yep, the answer's already come in. It has never been repeated in World Cup since. Name the achievement. 0.0007 seconds to get that answer. All right, well done. I'm not sure who it is, but I just know the answer came in. In just about that quick a time, gentlemen, score for Rajasthan batting first, Shahbaz, whether or not matters or not, Shahbaz opening the bowling.
184.
Aha, so the other end of 170, Bangalore, you're in trouble. Dooley, are you doing Bangalore a favor here?
No, because I think they should have batted first. I think they've taken the soft option. I'm going to go 207.
Oh, 207. Oh dear. No, I'm definitely going low. I'm definitely going low. This is going to be in chaseable territory. 170 is the magic number, so I'll go just under that at 169. 169, which means 170 is the target. You're going to have to sit on the fence if you think they're going to chase it down or not chase it down. That's all we have on the show. So many talking points. Butler versus Kohli. Kohli going to open the batting. Couple of changes for Rajasthan. Just the one change for Bangalore. Lots to look forward to. We'll be back in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. Until then, from Cricbuzz Live, from Simon, Harsha and myself, it's goodbye.